Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC Podcast. I am your host, Classic, and I'm here with my co-host,
gypC. And today we have Rodney Perry. He is the host of Simply King Podcast, the soulfully conscious podcast for humans simply being humans. Welcome to the show, Rodney.
Welcome. It's a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I was so glad to find you guys. Y'all seem like a real cool, calm, collected, podcasters, So I was like, yeah, I want to get on here because I haven't guessed it on too many. So I was like, let me put myself out there more,
Okay, well, we're glad you reached out to us, and yeah, we try to keep it, as relaxed and, positive, inspirational, educational, motivational, all of those. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from? Where were you born? And
Well, I'm originally from Jackson, Tennessee, small town, right in between Memphis and Nashville. I attended Clark Atlanta University, getting my degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing. And after graduating, I actually moved up here to Chicago, which I've been in going on almost 7 years. And currently, I've been podcasting just about that same amount of time.
Okay.
My podcast will be 7 years. Yeah, 7 years in August of this year. And
congratulations.
It's been great. Thank you. It's been great. It's been majority of the podcast I was doing, while fully employed with several different corporate entities. And last year was a year that kind of really just bet on myself more than anything. And went full-fledged into my own company, and actually started my own company called Life is King, which is a creative production as well as digital marketing company where I just assist small businesses, entrepreneurs, and content creators really just have a better digital presence and communicate their message online a little bit better. And it's been great. It's been a lot of lessons, and I always say a lot of lessons, a lot of blessings, because it's truly it's not made for everybody. But I think I'm certainly have the just the mindset for it. I think I've always been that way, and people have always pushed that on me. I remember being in college and people literally shaming me for going to career fairs. Like, why are you here? Like, this don't seem like something that you're gonna want to do or even stick to. So why are you here? And I'm like, damn, like I'm 19. I might need a job, I'm thinking about it, but literally everybody always seen me as being an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. No one ever really placed me as a person that would be a company man. And I've always felt that way about myself. I think I always just chose practicality because it felt so far reaching.
Okay.
To just, jump into it and bet on yourself that immediately. But, long answer for an easy question, but that's the nutshell of me.
Understood. I'm from actually was born in Oxford, Mississippi, raised in Jackson, Mississippi. So
oh man.
Yeah, very familiar. Got plenty of family right there in Memphis. Not too familiar with Jackson, Tennessee. What is it like growing up in Jackson, Tennessee?
It's interesting. It's considered like the hub city, so it's basically because it's centered right in between Memphis and Nashville. It's basically that place that has become more known for logistics. So a lot of truck drivers and things like that is a really big industry when it comes to the Jackson, Tennessee. There's only two places in the world that actually make Pringles chips, and that's Jackson, Tennessee, and somewhere in Belgium.
Okay.
And very random fun fact, but yes. Yeah. And so a lot of that's Procter & Gamble are the ones who actually produced that, and so a lot of people in town are employed by them. It's very, very, very much a manufacturers or manufacturer heavy type of place. From Martha White, Rising Flowers, based in Jackson, Tennessee, and a lot of different specific things that are kind of essential to like Del Fawcett and all these other things. Like, it's very much, most people that I knew growing up their parents all more than likely worked in a factory, worked in something where they had to use their hands and build things or just operate a particular machine. So it's a very slow, very down home, very simple. A lot of people don't leave or go far. And I think that was immediately that's how I knew that, something was different about me, because I always was ready to go. I was always down to take a trip, to go travel, to just get out, just to get out. And I was blessed to have the mother that I had, because that was exactly kind of what she wanted me to do anyway. She wanted me to explore. She wanted me to go to school out of state if I could just, find a place that made sense for me. And if, and she just invested. Yeah. She invested in me, which I thought was just a beautiful thing. She was like, if I'm going to go in debt for something, I'd rather go in debt for my children's education than anything. And I'm like, all right, Mom, I appreciate that. I'm gonna hold myself to it. Yeah. I ain't gonna waste your money. And it worked out. It worked out brilliantly.
You graduated from a local high school in Jackson? I'm sorry to cut you off. You graduated from a local high school in Jackson?
Say it again. Did I graduate?
Yeah, you graduated in your city where you were born, or did you end up moving? Because I know you mentioned you went to school in Atlanta, right?
Yeah,
Clark, Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah, I actually I went throughout all of my primary schooling in Jackson, Tennessee.
Okay.
So really truly born and raised in Tennessee. I didn't leave until I was 18. So freshman year. Yeah, all of my years, all my kind of, formative years were definitely spent in Jackson. And that small town existence is interesting. I think it's given me a lot of interesting perspective. Because I've always said that when you're not from a bigger place, you have so much more imagination, because you haven't seen it. You don't see it every day. You haven't felt it. You haven't met the people. You don't have that, just that true empirical experience right in front of you to be able to say that, you know that the possibilities are endless. You're coming straight from a place of just imagination. Like, you just believe that the possibilities are endless. You don't know though, because you just haven't seen it yet. So like things like TV and movies and comic books is where kind of I got lost in, and just knew like there's so much more to life. So I wanted to get out, and I knew I had to just be there to be able to see it. And I think for me, it was a lot about trying to make sure that I was a well-rounded person so that I could know how to go wherever I could go and be useful no matter where I went, because I knew that my like quote unquote small town life might hold me back. And coincidentally, it actually helped me a lot, because people from LA, I went to school with people from LA. Some of my closest friends are from California. Okay. Went to school with people from New York and Chicago and so many other places, so many other metropolitans. And for some reason, I still stood out. My perspective still stood out because I didn't have any strong, already understood allegiances to particular ideologies. Like if you're from New York, how you handle people and how you talk to people is different. So they didn't understand like why Southerners were so friendly. If you're from Chicago, you may have a little sense of guardedness and you stay with your group. So being open really might not be something you do so quickly. And yeah, so it was just like real specific things. While for me, I'm just such a, so receptive to everything. It was kind of like, damn, how you figuring this out? How you doing this? What's making you move around and open up to the people? So it was a really interesting thing.
Okay. What was your perspective on Atlanta when you first got there for school? We lived in Marietta for about 7 years. We actually met in Georgia. Yeah. So we're a little familiar
with
the area. Yeah.
How long were y'all there?
Yeah,
7 years?
About 7 years. Yeah. And then we moved from Georgia to the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Moved up there for about 3 years, and then we moved to LA. But it was maybe 2006, 2007 when we were in Marietta. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, y'all did a whole black tour.
Yeah.
One really black place to another really black place. There's a lot of black people in LA too, but yeah. I loved Atlanta. Atlanta was a wonderland to me the first time I went. I went for my aunt, who's actually from Chicago, because Clark Atlanta wasn't even in my radar of places.
It was on my radar, but I didn't qualify.
I doubt it.
Just...
I doubt it. I'm trust me. That's one of the things I learned as soon as I got to school. I did everything. I did the essay and all that. And now get there and I talked to so many people. I was like, "Hey, how'd you write your essay to get in?" And da da da. I was like, "I didn't write no essay." And I'm like, "What? You didn't write no essay?" But nevertheless, my aunt Camille was the one who asked my mom if I could join her and my cousin. We were the same age on his college tour, and I went down, and my other kind of like, I guess, kind of like play aunt was already trying to put Morehouse in my ear. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll go. You know, I heard it's like not too close. It's real close to, Morehouse. So I'll go and maybe check that out too. Or, I had a whole idea of it all because I'm like, I don't even know this place. So this place might even be that cool in my head, right? That was my assumption. But then as soon as I got there, I loved it. I fell in love immediately with the campus, the energy. It felt like very much like a family. Like it just felt like I was going to be going to school and my teachers and my professors would be like aunts and uncles. It was real interesting. So it was like, okay, I like this. It's real close knit, and I was just excited because I felt drawn to the overall experience. And even though I think my anxiety of like the just gotta make it of it all definitely kind of sent my anxiety everywhere, I think it didn't matter because I was just on a high. I was like, I'm away from home. Nothing can beat this. All I gotta do is just keep these grades up and like try my best to mix it up as best as I can so I can just have the best experience. And I think I did that. I think I had a really great experience.
That's good. That's good. So what did you walk away with when you left Atlanta as far as, culture wise, the culture of Atlanta? What are some of the real tools of Atlanta that you picked up? Because, I was got out of the car. I had some comedian buddies. So I got out of the car at Uptown Comedy with a camera on my neck. And, Shorty was like, "Hey man, you want to take some pictures tonight?" Like, "Hey, yeah, help me turn it on." So I understand. I understand, there's opportunity in how, certain things, even just the energy of Atlanta and, from music wise, I took my biggest cello break there, but I still, made beats and things like that during my little music time. I can't say little music time, during my music time there.
Yeah. Don't put the little in it.
Yeah. I can't put the little in it. So, I walked away with a lot,
Yeah, no.
What are some of the things that help you in your transition to Chicago? You went to Chicago right after Atlanta?
Yeah, right after. Right after. I was 22. And for me, honestly, the biggest thing that I got from living in Atlanta and being in Atlanta was really learning how to collaborate. Like I feel like the name of the game is collaboration in Atlanta. You have to be able to be open to work with other people and mix it up in the and really provide whatever it is that you need to provide for whatever the project is or whatever the thing, the idea is to get things done. And I think because Atlanta started to become this kind of Black Hollywood where people started to flock there and start businesses and go there to be creative and to get discovered or whatever they were trying to do. I think so much of that made no matter who you were, kind of open to collaboration. And no matter what level you were already at, what level of established you already were, you didn't want. I started to call it. You don't want to be the one who missed out on the Migos. Is what I used to call it because I felt because that was the ongoing thing. If you walk around and just go, nightlife, you would probably meet a million different people who said they knew and discovered the Migos. That's what made me start to say that because I'm like, they all missed out.
Look, what's funny, you actually remind me when you said don't miss out on the Migos. A good friend of their family was doing the casting, hiring for, was it Fight Night? So
okay.
She called me to be a paparazzi on the video shoot. as a,
That's
just a
hilarious.
camera. And we walking up to it, at that time, we walking up, I'm kind of outside the box, but, walking up to it, I'm like, all right, so what they look like.
That's hilarious.
And she was like, which ones are these? She's like, Versace. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, they wasn't.
That's hilarious. And that was my college years. That was definitely me freshman year of college right there.
Wow. Yeah.
High on the Versace days for real. But no, for me, that was a big thing because, and I realized that was also a secret weapon of the overall like growth and success that I think Atlanta as a whole, in terms of just overall development, the amount of, Black individuals who've been able to go and start over or start new things and start multiple ventures. I think it had a lot to do with this decentralized culture.
Yeah, because it's basically unlimited hustle right there.
I think a lot of places are this way in terms of where the local community, people who've already been there, pretty much control the overall culture, and you kind of got to buy in. You got to buy into them, and they got to buy into you before you move around and move up. I think in Atlanta, because it was a city filled with so many and increasingly so many transplants, the culture shifted, and it opened up. So I feel like those people who were already local, who were already there and based there and always been there, had to open up to adapt, because people are coming with actually good ideas. People are starting really good businesses. So it's like, are we going to shut out these new folks who came from wherever? Or are we going to get this money? Are we going to work with them? Or are we going to, scratch each other's backs to make sure that we both get ahead? Because what's the point in fighting and pushing each other out? But I don't think that that's a universal thing, though, unfortunately. Because when I moved to Chicago, it's like literally I got the polar opposite.
Nice.
It's not a city filled with collaboration. It's a city where I think everybody works really hard in silos. Like it's very much a city that's bigger than Atlanta, but in terms of just the connectedness of the Black communities, it's so interesting because it's coveted, it's guarded. You really have to know somebody to know something, to know what to do, to move around. And it takes time. Like it's not a transient city like Atlanta is. Like you got like we're both, all of us on this call are all former residents of this place. You know what I'm saying? So that you know that this is a place you can come to, do whatever you need to do, get whatever you need to get from it, and easily leave. And you feel, most people usually feel fairly fulfilled with the time they spend in Atlanta because it was maybe fun. You had this, you got that. It was a cool opportunity. You got it, what you got. And now you more than likely always have a community to come back to if you want to ever go back to just visit or whatever.
Right.
Chicago's not like that. Chicago's not a transient city. Wow. Majority of the places, a place where you are going to meet a lot of locals, a lot of people who born and raised here, and they plan to be here forever. They love it. They have a lot of pride, and the communities are certainly driven by people who are from here more than anyone else. So you have to get some buy-in. You have to get some credibility from people around here. And I've seen it live before. I've seen somebody literally almost give me a whole Carfax rundown to somebody, and they treated me different immediately. I'm talking about like, oh, this is my boy Rodney. I went to college with him. He know my mama, da 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 da. And literally right after that, he just started sharing his drink and showing me pictures of his kids. And I'm like, this is crazy, but okay, this is how it is, I guess.
I trust you.
It's been cool. It's been cool though.
It's like, okay, I trust you now. I trust you.
I like how you analyzed all of these cities.
No, I was saying that's what they were saying. Like, okay, I trust you now. I trust you. I'm gonna open up to you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But it's a weird thing, and I think I've been putting out this because I felt like it was a bold piece to write. It's a local just publication here called The Tribe that I wrote this piece that I want to submit for, and it's basically kind of chronicalizing like what I've deduced to be the kind of pitfalls of that being a characteristic of this city. Because I think it stuns the growth of the city. If it feels like if outside there's this particular depiction of this city that I don't know how, if people who are from here and who are really not even caring and really already in their own bubbles, they can't be convinced anything negative about Chicago. Mm-hmm. They can't be, and they honestly, it's so far away from their brains on how anybody else can even perceive Chicago to be anything negative. So when they learn that people feel these particular ways, it really doesn't make sense to them. And what I've deduced it down to is that Chicago, unlike, like if I come to LA, which I love LA, and if I come to LA, I don't think about LA and think, oh man, I need to watch out for the Bloods and the Crips. I need to make sure I need to know what neighborhood I need to go to. I know for a fact, probably without that much effort, everywhere I decide to go, more than likely will be okay, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And especially with, you know, just with, even if I didn't know particular people who are from there, I think even if I was just truly like a blind tourist, I think I would still be okay with everywhere I chose to go. And I believe Blackness creates that context for us. We know where we can be and where we shouldn't be and how we want to interact with particular spaces. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to Chicago, I think from an external perception, that context really isn't given to Chicago. It's like, if anything, what the media says and what a lot of Black people who aren't from Chicago or never been or just believe in what they hear and what they see on the news are matching up. And that's usually not a thing. Usually there's some grace given because people still live and travel to Memphis. Memphis has been on the first 48. Chicago's been on the first 48. People have traveled to East St. Louis, which they say that's a pretty dangerous place too. People still do business and travel to Detroit and travel to Newark and travel to all these places. And they have the nuance and understanding to know where they can be and where they shouldn't be. But when it comes to Chicago, it's kind of like, no, you got to be careful. You better watch out. And, are you all right up there? And I'm like, I'm fine. Trust me. Like I'm not dodging bullets just going to the store. Trust me. Like it's not that deep. And just like wherever you live, you know where you won't go, and you know where you can go for the circumstances that they are. But it's just interesting that Chicago doesn't get that particular grace. And also I think it's the size that people forget too. I think people don't put those two things together when they talk about like murder rates and shootings and all these various things. From a statistic standpoint, that headline sounds really, really terrible if they say it's 3,000 shootings in Chicago over the span of these past 2 weeks. It's just hypothetical.
Right.
But they're not categorizing how large is Chicago land, how large they consider Cook County to be, and where did all of these shootings occur? Because these shootings could happen in predominantly white neighborhoods. These shootings could happen in Chinatown. They count everything. But if you frame it as that, then everybody's just going to assume they all happen in Inglewood.
Right.
And so people are just going to go with that, you know?
Right. I can definitely understand that. So the almost, because I'm from West Jackson, Mississippi, and I've been to a lot of places. West Jackson is one of the only cities, or one of the first cities I've actually seen decline. It's had its crime issues and everything, but it's still, I still know, even I haven't seen too much in Mississippi, even just growing up, or in Jackson, just growing up, and they run these numbers, but I still know where not to go. Even like you said, when you come out here, I know where not to go. I know even when I go to a place, I still have a certain energy that I do attract. Even like you said, the numbers or whatever they're saying it is on the news there, and the locals don't quite vibrate with that, with the same fear that they're pushing out on the news. I guess the locals, they vibrate probably with a little more love for their city than the fear that the rest of us is getting from not being able to be there to experience really what's going on, or to really see what's happening.
For real.
And here in LA, it's been basically the same thing. We didn't come here thinking about the gang stuff, but a lot of rappers and a lot of, I like to say Native Americans, but Black people, we still, that's that thing. That's the, I don't really want to take a venture out there and see what the beauty of, the city, because that's one of the things that's always that they pushing out is the gang violence. Been out here, haven't seen anything. Been out here for 4 years. We know where not to go for that. I've used to drive Uber. I've had conversations with the locals. I definitely see traumatized people from the gang violence stuff. But I don't feel I don't vibrate with that. So it's not even something, if I was in the situation, they could look right at me and probably be like, he don't vibrate with that.
Yeah. Yes.
What's good, bro?
And I think that's a interesting thing that I think is so interesting about the overall thing, because I wrote that within it, and then I also just spoke to why, like, this guardedness. There's this general guardedness about the culture in Chicago, about the Black culture in Chicago specifically, and I understand why that is.
Yeah.
So much of the Black culture in Chicago, very similar to LA, has a very community organization or quote unquote gang culture that, when you talk about just the, the original ideas and the ideologies and the purpose for a lot of these community organizations, they date, several decades back. A lot of those people still believe in a lot of those principles. And that's how they were literally. So now people were raised. It was neighborhoods and people who were raised on a lot of those principles, so that now that they're synonymous with just honestly, the persona, the general persona of being a Chicagoan. So discretion is key. Watch your back, know who you talking to, really assess and observe
in the DNA, and
assess who you are interacting with, which isn't bad principles to have, but I think without good measure and without moderation, it shuts people out. And that shutting out affects you too. Because they do it to each other. Lily had a great call yesterday with this entrepreneur who really owns a co-working space in downtown Chicago, right off of Michigan Avenue. And I'm like, how is she not as big as we work here in Chicago? And I was praising her for her idea, and that, for starting this and doing this and creating this, opportunity for so many other people to have a space to, if anything, especially these days with, the work from home setup, to possibly have a place where they could just work from home outside of their home if they want that option. But what's interesting is that when you'll quickly realize how small the Black community is, not from a standpoint of numbers, but in terms of like degrees of separation. I've met people and then realized that they know other people that I've met, and so on and so forth, extremely quickly. Everybody know Chance. Everybody knows. No matter who, give me any Black Chicagoan, everybody treats him like they, like, that's interesting. I do think that part is interesting about Chicagoans. Like, if you are from there, you don't ever get too big. They always gonna treat you like we went to school with you. We know which heroes you like, and that's shameful. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna treat you exactly how they're gonna treat you, because they know too much. They know where your mama stays. So it's like, we ain't about to you're not about to get Hollywood on us, because we're gonna tell you getting Hollywood on us, and we're gonna treat you every time you do. So, nevertheless, what I realized is that guardedness creates this insulation of the culture that they don't even realize, and how it's affecting them. And my ultimate kind of thesis in this overall article is that if Black Chicagoans stay in this particular place of guardedness and allowing for their own perception to be the one that they don't care to show the world, because that's the thing. It's like, there's so many people who have great perspectives, who have great stories to tell, who can better elaborate and explain the beauty of this city, but they're not doing anything about it. They're not telling that story. That's not the thing that's being said. Rather, all the things that are being created around, with Chicago being in the center of it, is usually around broken systems. When you talk about all the Chicago shows, Chicago Fire, PD, Man, Justice, and CPS, the school, like the Chicago public school system is forever going viral for teachers being on strike. We have probably one of the most recognizable mayors because she's terrible, in Lori Lightfoot. And it just goes on and on and on top of, the things around like drill music and, shootings and gang violence and all these other things. While it's like, that's all that people believe y'all are. And I don't think they understand that, because they understand the totality. So it's like, how could they? And it's like, they never been here. And then they don't want to. They think it's only cold all the time. Only a sprinkle of people really believe in this summertime shy idea. So it's kind of hard to convince people to come here and do things, even though this is the third largest city in the nation. Y'all shouldn't have to promote anything. LA doesn't have to do marketing. You don't have to have even though there are LA, come to LA commercials with Arnold Schwarzenegger and surfers and so on, and movie stars and so on and so forth. Same thing in New York. You can have a commercial about, come and visit New York.
Yeah.
Chicago can do that same thing. And a lot of people will be like, this ain't, no. But somebody needs to actually tell the true story, because there's a lot of precious beauty in the overall just history of Chicago, in terms of just it being a central place for the great migration over 100 years, over 100 years ago, 100 or so years ago, and it being seen as a place that was the promised land. The promised land. There was majority of the people who moved to Chicago were actually from Mississippi.
Yeah, and a lot of people that go to Jackson State are from Chicago.
Yeah,
I went to Jackson State for 3 years. Yeah,
yeah, and there's a direct line, like I don't know if you know, but there's a road, because Chicago was one of the first kind of grid systems.
55.
Yeah, Cicero.
Yeah.
I think 55 goes all the way up, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it goes all the way. You can literally take it straight down, and you'll go through Cairo and end up in Memphis. And then if you go north, you can literally take it all the way up and you'll end up in Milwaukee. And just that connectedness, And I think also going east and west, the start of of Route 66 is in Chicago as well. So just certain historical aspects of it, this really easy connection. It's like now people are moving. I remember when almost 7 years ago when I moved here, me telling people that I moved here from Atlanta, they was like, "Why you move here? Like, you was already there. You was already at the spot." I'm trying to figure out how to get to where you was at. Damn. Why you come here? It's cold. All those different things. And I've had my own relationship with this cold weather, but it's getting better, But overall, I believe in the city. I think that's the thing. It's like once you kind of get a little taste and kind of also be adjacent to that pride, you kind of want to know what it is. You kind of want to get that feeling. Yeah. You kind of want to figure it out, and it feels so endless. The city is so large, it does feel really endless, because you can discover something, learn about this Black-owned thing, and learn about that Black-owned thing, learn about this place in this neighborhood, learn that, there aren't just, Black folks just on the south and west sides. There's a whole, dozens of Black neighborhoods on the north side of town too. Who knew? The rapper Polo G is from what they call the North Pole, which is a northern neighborhood above, which the usual expectation is that everything above downtown is like either multicultural or majority white affluent neighborhoods, but evidently they still have
everything above downtown.
Yeah.
Okay, so south of downtown is more Black people.
South and west of downtown are where majority of where the Black communities are. And it's funny, shout out to Six Figure Dilla, who's like a basically a Chicago historian. He's getting so much attention right now for just literally just giving people just facts about Chicago, which that's the type of work that I feel like more people need to do. Like speak to the interesting aspects of the history of Chicago. You know, the fact that Chicago was founded by, you know, by DuSable, you know, which is a Haitian immigrant. The fact that, you know, you have so much like history in terms of music, being folks like Muddy Waters and Cadillac Records actually coming here and establishing a really incredible presence. But also just it being that place that a lot of people came to find opportunity. And truly a lot of that upward mobility that Black people seen in the early 1900s happened in Chicago. Like people literally we talking about people being the, you know, first homeowners and being a part of this, you know, Black middle class that was becoming. It was a thing, you know. It was Black people lived right downtown during the Great Chicago Fire, you know. So, and it's, you know, it's conspiracy that, you know, that's maybe a motivation of the fire, but it was almost like Black people were always in the center of it all and basically kept getting pushed out. And ultimately finally settled in where they settled in, and the city started to separate and become one of the most segregated cities in the nation, honestly, because everything is gridded off.
So Compton, I'm sorry, I was going to say Compton and, you know, South Central is southwest of downtown. Inglewood, all southwest of downtown as well.
That's interesting. You know, yeah. Another thing about Chicago is they're very prideful, and they love to let you know about what other people took from them. And something that I could not prove as of yet, because I just didn't think to do the research for real to see how true it was. But somebody told me, which you got to take it with a grain of Lowry's, you know,
sure,
that essentially because Chicago gangsters are the ones who established quote unquote Hollywood. So their way of kind of shouting out their home turf being Chicago, they named so many things, so many places and streets and things like that in LA, in the LA County area, after places and streets in Chicago. That's what he told me. And so you have things like Inglewood and Inglewood. We have a Burbank. We have so many different things. California, Sacramento as street names. We have where I live, Beverly. The neighborhood I live in is called Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have to like do the fact checking, but it's an interesting thing to say. And I was like, oh, okay, who knows? But you know how it is when it's like you look, you know, Chicago did everything. We did. Yeah. It's one of them. It's one of them type of things, you know.
We actually, I'm not sure if you know, jazz radio host Larissa Hale of Blue
Wolf Radio?
Blue Wolf Radio. She's there in Chicago. She's an old classmate of mine from Jackson State. And we actually had her on the show and actually got a chance to have her grandmother. I think it was her grandmother or great grandmother on the show as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah, she was, you know, able to tell us about growing up in Chicago a little bit.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, history wise, that will like lock you in and make you really more enamored by certain things. Because for me, I think I quickly picked up on certain, you know, Southern cues, you know, just similarities, and like everybody's parentals loved me because it was just, I guess I reminded them of some, you know, some older uncle or some older cousin that like was a little closer to not being so urbanized, I guess. Yeah. And like I remember I had my ex-girlfriend's mom. I remember she used to just watch me eat biscuits. Like she was like, "You use your hands." Ooh, take me back, you know. And I'm like, sure, you know. I ain't know anybody eat them any other way. I didn't even think about that, but I guess you're right. But it was just little things like that that's so charming to me. And I think I've definitely grown this really, you know, I think for a long time it was definitely a love-hate relationship because I didn't like the cold. I didn't like the because I am Southern. I am open. I am like the want to say hey to everybody, want to speak and all that, and just open, because it's like I'm no threat to the thing. But to be treated as a threat, or be treated as you need to second guess my presence, is a culture shock. You know, it's a real true culture shock. But nevertheless, I think I've grown to a more comfortable place, because I really went through the full changes of feeling like maybe it's me, maybe I'm coming on strong. To maybe it was like, it ain't even me, that's them. That's they need to get past that. To really indifference, and honestly to a place of contentment now, where I'm like, I've met some incredible people. I'm thankful for that, and I'm continuously meeting even more incredible people. The more that I just make particular moves and kind of just approach it in a more patient and less anxious way, you know?
Yeah.
I actually grew up in Minnesota, I was going to mention, and I knew like two people from, which is not too far from Chicago, if anybody's, you know, for those listening. And I knew two people from the South, one from Memphis and one from Mississippi, and both, you can tell the difference, you know. They're always different. It's a different culture up north and Midwest in general. It's like Southern people are just welcoming and just nice right off the bat. It's different culture.
Yeah, and I feel like that you know, maybe it's that migration, because you know, so many of our, you know, ancestors and you know, all those different things left, and you know, still have family, you know, still in the South. So I think that energy of like getting away and getting far away was really, really embedded in just kind of Southern culture to a certain degree. But there's a lot of people who don't leave. Still, you know, majority of the South is still where, you know, majority of the Black population lives. But I feel like I meet a lot more Southerners in random places than I do people from Minnesota or Iowa, and so on and so forth. You know, a lot of people, I realized once I moved to the Midwest, a lot of people don't really go anywhere else in the Midwest, you know? And I feel like in the South, I feel like everybody's trying to get out. Everybody is at least trying to visit out. They're not trying to just go to, you know, to Florida to vacation. They're like, no, I want to go to DMV. I want to go to New York. I want to go to LA. I want to try. I really want to get out into a whole different environment. I don't want to go to, you know what I'm saying, Biloxi, to the beach, you know what I'm saying, just and get something kind of similar to where I'm at. You feel me? It's just a beach now, you know. But I'm still in the South. I can still get some good fish. Not too, you know, not too much of a different flavor there. People want to get something different. People want to feel something different. While in the Midwest, it wasn't like that. It's not like that at all. People really enjoy the aspects that the Midwest bring more than anything. They love the lake. They love that damn lake. All of them. You know what I'm saying? You know, living in Minnesota, like people love the lake.
10,000 lakes,
People love them damn lakes. People will, you know, I remember when I was working for this particular company, I remember that was always the thing with some of my coworkers, and was like, yeah, we're going to the lake house. And I was like, oh, okay, y'all fancy. But then I kept hearing it. I was like, damn, this really all like, our lake house is cheap or something? Like, everybody got a damn lake house. What's going on? But just people love the Midwest. Like, people from the Midwest really do enjoy, and they'll, if anything, move around. So I met a lot of people from Chicago who are from other parts of the Midwest. Chicago definitely is a gathering spot for a lot of Midwesterners. But it's interesting. I find it pretty interesting, honestly.
Yeah. As far as for me with the energy thing, I had, as far as locks, and then, you know, to that kind of one thing to confirm me and let me know, you know, as far as energy wise, it was a little reality check for a second. But when I cut my hair, and I had to realize, okay, you know, when out here, of course, if you have, you know, locks, it's automatically, you know, it's kind of cool now. But now, you know, as I didn't have my hair, and I had to remember that, you know, oh shit, people don't look at me the same. I ain't got my locks, you know, so I look different, or as, you know, but it blew on, and I realized my energy still, you know, as far as they still pick up on the good vibe, whether it's the locks or with, you know, my nappy fro or braids.
That's real. That's so true. And going into corporate spaces is interesting, because a big reason that made me move here is the person I was dating at the time. I was just so disgruntled with what I was going through in the job market when I was after graduating, and honestly during, but right before graduating as well, throughout my senior year, just going through all these particular interviews and the blatant microaggressions or just direct, insults to my overall just image and character and identity were terrible. Like questions like, how attached to your hair are you? Stuff like that being asked of me amidst the interviews. And I've walked out of interviews. I've just
this is in Chicago.
It was a few in Chicago, a few in Atlanta, few just over the phone. I had interviews everywhere, and it was sad because a few of my professors had told me that. They was like, "You're a great student. You have a great business mind. You have all these different things, but we're hoping that this hair thing is a phase because it's not sweet out there. Like it really isn't sweet." And they still feel a way about these types of things. They still don't understand it. And I believe like the Crown Act was passed maybe 3 years ago, maybe just in 2019, I feel like, where you couldn't discriminate with, against someone based off of their hair texture and how they wore their hair in particular ways, which probably is probably benefits a lot of other people other than us, but nevertheless, still something I had to deal with. And it really didn't make any difference. It really doesn't make any difference because it's like I got here in the room, you see my resume, and evidently it made me at least get me to this point, even if this is a formality just to, go through the motions. Why waste my time while telling me to do something that only matters to you for 8 hours of my day,
And what was the feel of these interviews?
They were different types of industries, like sales jobs. We talked because I got my degree in marketing, so pretty much could have apply for a lot of different things, from just entry level associate positions for various sales and various things, from various industries. It could have been, and I think for me it was honestly, I had got all the way down to my wits. I was just applying a little bit everywhere. I was like, I just gotta find something, and I went through 4 interviews with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and they essentially didn't offer me the job. And I literally was driving all around Georgia. Had to go to a rent-a-car center, like a Enterprise, all the way deep in, on the south side, and had to go to another one all the way, past Decatur, and then had to go to another one all the way on the north side and talk to what this regional manager and that manager and so on and so forth, and to ultimately not even get the job. And that's what kind of sent me over. That's what I was big boo-hooing and expressing like just my frustration to my ex at that time. And she kind of presented that idea. She was like, why don't you just come up here and really kind of hit the ground and be able to, because I literally was like going back and forth for certain interviews, the ones that I had in Chicago. Because Chicago was always a place on my list. It was, I was either cool to stay in Atlanta after school. I was down to go to a handful of other places like Chicago, Philadelphia, and anywhere else, honestly, that felt kind of like a good space for me. And but at that time, that was kind of those were my 3 kind of like top places, just based off the offerings that I was seeing and just looking into. And once that happened, I was like, all right, I'm down. I'm gonna think about it, and I did it. And I left 2 weeks later. Went home, stayed for a week, and then had all my things with me and came on down to Chicago and haven't left yet.
Okay.
It's funny when you're saying that. I was just thinking, like, there's been so many times where I've had like 4 interviews and met with 6 different people, and I felt like I did great and still didn't work out. And I know, my blackness has something to do with it, but I never thought like maybe the hair, because I'll wear my, curly afros and, I don't feel like I have to straighten my hair or anything, but I just wondered like how much of my hair played into it or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the first thing that kind of came to me when it came to just because I was always a stellar interviewer or interviewee, that I used to literally, literally be pulled out of classes to show other classes how to like conduct hard in different types of interviews, group interviews, so on and so forth, and just how to play in particular dynamics. So I never was nervous about interviews because I'm like, I know how to spin, I know how to, expound, I know how to do all these things. So it makes sense. And I've always had the gift of gab. So I'm like, I can talk my ass off. We can just talk. We're going to just, if that's all this part of all this is I don't have to just show you something or go and do anything yet. We just talk and I can talk all day about myself.
Yeah.
So it can't be that, and I know I still had business. I know I had great business acumen. I know I could sell practically anything, especially if you give me all the details of the thing. And put me in front of somebody who's in the market for it, 9 times out of 10, I feel like I'll at least make an impression. And so I knew I was, but I think ultimately the beautiful silver lining to it all is that it's kind of great that all those things didn't work out because I didn't really change who I was for any of those things. I didn't waver when it came to that. And I think it's only fortified in my overall journey and story. Because now had my locks for going on almost 14 years now. And I think they really bring out the truth around people around me.
You say 14?
14, yes.
14, yeah. I was about 15 with mine. I used to trim mine. Yeah. So I had mine for about 15 years. And when I cut it, it was more of just we come in from doing a little hiking and it's just, I kind of wanted it off my shoulders a little bit. Too much overthinking or anything else with it. And it was just like, all right, today is going to be the day. And, she've always known me with locks. Yeah. So afterwards, I was, rubbing my head for months. It's just nothing but rubbing and just rubbing. Like, man, I haven't felt my scalp like this in a minute. But
yeah,
I'm a hair person though, so it's just basically grow my hair right back.
Me too. I've had hair on my head, long hair on my head, more than I have had anything. Yeah. Like I've been having longer hair since like the 5th grade, but literally when I was born, I really only had low haircuts for maybe about 5 years of my life for real. Because when I came out the womb, my mom took a long time to cut my hair. I was like 4 or 5 and ended up probably keeping my hair and growing it out around like 5th. So that's like 10th grade. So we're talking about a good 5 solid years of, mom used to ball fade you and maybe give you a little part every now and again at the barbershop, if she let you get a little spicy. Yeah. But that was all I had. And I had all the braids, I had all the designs, I had all the things until I finally stuck with it. And it's been a great character trait. It's been a great identifier for me. And it's been just a great way to just express myself. Overall, because I'm redefining so many different things when I come into a room, and I because it's like the assumptions and the connotations that everybody has. That's why I say that they really give me the truth to people. Because if I walk into a particular space, they might already assume, oh, you probably smoking something, don't you? You probably real earthy and and then walk up on them and smell like patchouli or some bullshit like that. And then I'll walk into other rooms and they'll be like, oh, I hope he's cool. I hope he's not like, like super hotep or gonna, go off on us and tell us about the man and da da da. And I'm like, okay, and then they communicate with me and hear me, just the variety and the broadness of just kind of where my mind can really go and what type of things I can talk about and just the random pieces of information I can pull out of my head because I just love to learn things. They be like, oh, this guy really ain't giving me a guy with locks type of vibe. Like he ain't these type of things. And I was like, yeah, because that's not how that shit work. It's people. We're all people. And we show up how we show up. And I think that's what made it a beautiful thing to me. And I feel I think everyone else projects attachment, a certain type of attachment to my hair than what I truly feel. And I think if I was to ever cut my hair, it would be similar to just how you described. Like it would literally, as soon as that thought is a true, real thought that I had, I would probably cut it that same day and be okay. But it's just like I've never had this thought any other day that I woke up. So the fact that it comes over me now, why not? It must be something to do. But I think I would definitely, I would still have hair. It's only been maybe like I've seen maybe 2 to 3 people in the span of the 14 years who had a particular haircut. I was like, I know that I look good with that. Like I kill that, you know, just little stuff. But I never ground myself in that thought. I just be like, hey, I like that, bro. That's because you kind of got a similar head shape as mine. I remember my head is kind of, I got corners back here somewhere. So I know my head kind of boxy like yours. So I know it could be good, you know, stuff like that. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed them so much. And
this is about honestly, the longest that my hair has been, you know, as far as without being locked. I had braids around middle school, but after locking for, 15 years, and now it's just growing. You know, I just let it grow. But even when I cut it, I don't like the barber. So she trimmed it up. And,
I see.
I don't even, there's no, I don't do the line here. I shave myself up. But that's about keep it natural. Yeah. So it's just super easy for me.
Yeah. And I think what it gave me, honestly, it's a gift that just has multiple things to it. It gave me patience because I had to wait for my hair to get this long to like feel like I accomplished something. You know what I'm saying? Like this is why you start them. So you can see them while they, at this particular length and just be able to, be proud of that.
Yeah.
To be able to do any style or whatever you want to feel. But also, so it just gave me patience, but also it just gave me a different sense of my own self-awareness, like I now have to be attentive to my own just hair care and just what I'm putting in my body and just any type of thing that's going on. Like I definitely really quickly realized like I've stressed enough that my hair has fallen out. So it's like, oh, this is the thing, you know what I'm saying? This is really connected,
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that because it's like, okay, this is going to keep me aware. It's going to keep me abreast on what I need to continuously stay up on to take care of myself. And it works out every time. It worked out every time. Like now when I remember just in them earlier days, people just different locticians would see me out in public and, hand me their card and be like, who do your hair? And I was like, I do. And they'd be like, do you? I'm like, yes.
I was going to ask.
Really? Yeah, I commend.
Yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah, I've been doing them for.
Boy, I know.
I've been doing it. Yeah, I've been doing them. I've been doing them myself for at least probably 11 of the 14 years.
Wow.
So yeah, after probably about 3 years.
Off, man.
Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
Outsource his.
Man.
I mean, what's funny is it took me longer to do them when my hair was shorter than way it does now. Like now I can sit down, put on Dark Knight and be done before the credits.
Wow.
Yeah, put on a long movie or a show with a good handful of episodes, and I'll be, I'll be straight. I'll be good, and just learning how to do those different things. And as my hair has changed and grown, and I've learned how to interlock, and I've learned how to do this. I've learned how to fix certain things, and only time I really allow for somebody else to touch my hair for real is when I just want another set of eyes. Maybe I want to just clean up particular things I feel like I can't get just right for myself, and it helps. That helps with pricing too. When I walk into when I have these conversations and I tell them that I do my own hair, they know that it's like, well, damn, this is a hard sell, Like what I'm gonna say, like, hey, I can do your hair better than you. You like you're doing a good job,
Yeah.
So they usually say again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was gonna say for the beginner, like, what are some products that you use since you do your own hair?
So for beginners, depending on your length, that's really kind of how you make choices based on your locks. So in those earlier days, it's okay to go with something that's natural and thicker. Hence, while a lot of people start their locks with beeswax, I really don't suggest it just for the sake of I think it's not something that you can use for an extended period of time, because eventually it's gonna you probably won't like the
Up on your
smell.
hair.
It'll start to build up, and you don't know what your locked texture really will be able to handle. Because I think people just assume that, yeah, I got locks, so my hair gonna be strong, I can use all this, this product and do all this and that and the third. And it's like, no. So when you first start, you shouldn't be using any the heavy. You can use the heavier things, but you shouldn't be using it on a regular basis. So you can get things like anything that I would say out the gate, if you can get things that are more oil based than cream based.
Okay.
So anything that doesn't have any particular, sulfurs and in particular, just parabens and things like that. You don't want to put those certain things in your hair, because more than likely they'll encourage buildup, and also just set you up for a look that you really don't like. They might make your hair look ashy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people are familiar with that look. And just collect certain things that you just don't want to, just in your hair. But as your hair gets longer and longer and longer, you can start to kind of, experiment with other things. Like I've definitely used a little bit of everything in terms of just stay away from the Jamaican limes. I think that's what it's called. Like it's Jamaican and lime products.
Yeah.
Stay away from those. That is not good for you. That would definitely break your hair off. And I don't know that through experience. I just know that from just enough research to know that a lot of people haven't had good experiences with it. Like I believe it's like EQ Style, which is like kind of like a styling gel. They became very popular. And that one is really, I think, only good for touch-ups. I don't think you should really use that to, twist your hair on a consistent basis. And when your hair gets to a really, really long length, start really transitioning to leave-in conditioners. And for the sake of your hair you're not trying to train your hair anymore. Your hair is very, very matured. You're not trying to just, make it do a particular thing. About when you start to get to, about neck length, you can start to just really just find a good leave-in conditioner that you can twist your hair with. I believe the one I use is I forgot the name of it. Ooh. And I'm not sure how local it is, but I would say use something and match it with the overall kind of, match it with something that has a essential oil that you feel like you really need for your hair. And also use essential oils too for your hair as well. Like make sure you're oiling your scalp, no matter what type of, kind of hair that you have. You have hair that's usually oily, or hair that's usually dry, or hair that's kind of, in between. Oil your scalp. Just, that should be a general thing. Just if you black, just oil your scalp. But nevertheless, really oil your scalp when you have locks, because they'll have a tendency to just soak all that up for real. These things are like sponges.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
So you don't use wax anymore? You just use leave-in?
No, I haven't used beeswax in probably over 10 years at this point. And for me, it was just honestly, I was kind of like turned off by just the overall smell too, because
some of them didn't have a smell.
Yeah, it was like the smell with like because you do your hair while it's damp, and so that beeswax mixed with like just damp hair and like the shampoo, like I just did not like it, and it felt like it kind of lingered a little too much for me. Like I would just be sleeping, just like, what is that? Like, is that me? It's not a good feeling. But more than anything, it also created a lot of buildup. So you have to do a lot of a bunch of kind of just detoxifying your hair in those situations, which I highly encourage everybody who's growing locks to tap into those type of detoxifying methods like AC, apple cider vinegar rinses and things like that. Just a real natural way to go about it. Definitely consider doing all your research on all these things I'm suggesting, because some people really don't believe in the ACV with baking soda method, because that can possibly cause damage as well. If you use Dr. Bonner's, use a little bit, dilute. And And that should be understood with anything you use for Dr. Bonners. Because yes, you'll mess around and burn a hole in your scalp. That is some strong ass soap, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep, But yeah. I use a castor oil based shampoo. So using things that are like oil based and essential oil based and not based in with like creams and like gels or jams and some type of jelly, whatever. That's not what you need. You need something that can actually just stay in your hair, and it's just going into your hair. It's actually, nourishing your scalp, because all of those gels and things like that are really just kind of binders more than anything. They're just there to kind of hold stuff together. And so they don't really go anywhere. They pretty much just dry out, and just, it's almost kind of like, it's just almost the expectations that you're going to just wash this out anyway. But that's not how locks work. We pretty much are doing them and then just eventually going to do them again and do them again and do them again. And that's how you create that build up and create that breakage.
Yeah. I know one of the best things, at least now, that I can enjoy about at least having a fro. About 15 years ago, I couldn't have a nappy fro like I can now. It wasn't just quite the thing then, how it is now, where you can just, nap your hair up and walk out. So that's something that I love now, and I've gotten more comfortable with.
Yeah,
to where,
I love it too.
Yeah, I can just go.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy because it feels like it kind of has just thinking about popular culture. Like I remember those days of like in the early, the late 90s and the early 2000s, where it was very much a very
pick your
visible,
fro out.
Yeah, a very visible style that people were still getting into. I think about like, the Wayans brothers and, so many earlier careers of certain actors and who like just showed up in a particular way in their movies and also just in person. I thought it was real interesting. And then it was kind of like it just died out, and people just had fades, just had nothing but fades. And I don't know what did it. I'm not sure if like sporting and entertainment culture kind of brought a lot of that back, with the sponge, and then now it's a racket that people putting on their head to give it a particular texture. I like it. I honestly love it. I love it. I love just I love to see men with hair, because I think honestly, I feel very vindicated because so many people I went to college with would always just say that, like, when you gonna cut it? When you gonna cut it? You gonna cut it one day. You ain't gonna eat that. He was like, well, how would you feel if I had some scissors? And I'm like, what is this mind game y'all trying to play with me? Like, I don't get it. Right. But so many of those people have locks now, which I find so funny. I find it so funny because they were, but I knew it though. In the back of my mind, I kind of knew it. I was like, you like this, don't you? You want some of this? I get it.
Just take some time to try and become confident in yourself to just go ahead and,
Yeah, and I think that's also a part of my, because
there's an ugly stage
thing. And luck, I'm privileged because I had hair already, so I didn't have to cut my hair down. Then I really just literally probably did a little bit more than the ends, and I probably had like a if you remember the LA based classic "Love Don't Cost a Thing" featuring Nick Cannon. I feel like my hair was about at that length when I first started, but my hair was longer, but I cut it. I guess you just had to cut it down and start it the way she wanted to start it. But and I started mine with 2-strand twist, which I'm still amazed to this day that they eventually started to look how they look.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm biased. I believe we all could walk around like this and it'll work out and people will be okay. Because especially now that there are so many different types, like, I've seen some beautiful like sister locks on different ladies where it's like, damn, this is like your whole hair. I like, if I didn't, get this close to you, I would have just thought you just had just your hair down, what you do, but it's like not in a style, because they can making them so fine and so slim and so small these days. But that's what makes it such a beautiful thing. Like, yeah, this is just my hair in a particular organization. And it feels good that way. And and it's just something it's something to define gravity, because our hair literally, would grow out. Yeah. And I think it's something to just kind of, bring it back down in a way. It's really, I've always thought that was a real cool thing. And I'm forever kind of like almost like kind of refreshing my love for my hair all the time, within particular looks that I find when I get dressed up. Like anytime I'm getting dressed up to do anything and I gotta like, okay, let me do something to my hair, I'll be like, damn, like this, I'm glad I got this. Like this made this like fit a fit,
Yeah.
And it was funny because my friends say that all the time. Anytime we go out and go do anything, it was like, you ain't even doing that much, but it's the hair. Like the hair is like finishing this like real simple look that you got going on. I was like, all right, I appreciate that. I think about that now. I think about that so much more now. And but I love it. I love it. I've gotten past my goal length. I just wanted them all to kind of be at my belly button. I'm like, all right, we cool. But probably maybe next year, I think I'll start that kind of just a trimming process to keep them at a particular length, because I don't want them to go all the way to my damn knees and nothing. I think I'm cool where I'm at,
I was moving too fast in Virginia and closed mine in the door. So I started trimming mine about here every so often, and I couldn't just let it get too long, because I close it in the door in the house and also close it in the car door. And after that, whoa, moving too fast, getting out the car, and they just fly back, and you close the door and you just snatch back like that. It's like,
I'm so glad it ain't happened to me. Oh my God.
I was moving too fast. And each time I just said, I guess it was a moving too fast kind of moment. And they just.
Yeah. No, I get that. I definitely hit people all the time. People have told me that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize it. Like I remember a friend of mine, we were going up to visit someone or go somewhere in the elevator. And I guess I was talking, just like paying attention to them as I was talking, and somebody who was already in there, and I was like, yeah, whatever, and just turned around. Mm-hmm. Whoever was in there, I guess they was like, bro, you slapped them with at least 10 of your box. Like, and they just let it happen. They didn't say nothing. They just like adjusted and just got off, They didn't even say nothing to me. I was like, I would have said sorry if I knew. I did not know. And then just being mindful of them, just being mindful of them. Like I remember them years in college when my hair was getting long enough to where it was like, oh, I remember like I remember the day I was like eating some type of, it maybe been like spaghetti or something from the calf, and I think I like leaned down and like had a lock in a spaghetti, and and I was like, damn, now I gotta pull my hair back when I eat now.
Right, we here now.
That's what's up. Like that's where we at, Yeah. And that's been my life. That it's not even a second guess at this point. And so it's cool. It's cool, and it does already create a level of respect too, in terms of just your boundary of like your personal space, because like people, I think it's real easy. I can imagine probably I'm not sure about a lot of men who have like shorter hair, but I assume that people probably are more likely to touch you or touch your person in some way, shape, or form if it's nothing stopping them. It's like, you touch your bald head or look, that type of stuff. But for me, they be like, can I like, or let people, and I like that. I'm like, I like that, because I don't just let everybody touch my hair anyway. So it's like, that's I like that. But I usually play into people's connotations and sometimes allow it to be a teachable moment. Sometimes it depends. It depends.
I've had a few in the Uber.
Yeah. So it's a thing, and mostly it's been white coworkers and things like that who like have really very elementary questions about certain things, and
got it honest. They got it honest, just want to know, can I?
Yeah, they got it honest.
Oh my God, I haven't been this close. Can I touch?
Oh no, don't do that.
I get that a lot as well. But I don't really care. So I'm always curious why I guess people care. I'm like, they've never seen hair like this, so they just touch it and like, oh, it's spongy, and but I just never really cared. I just let anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in an interview, because this was after kind of already experiencing this energy and this like attention to my hair in interviews. I remember I had the comeback that I had was pretty visceral, pretty snappy, but I was quick on my feet, and he like wanted to engage with me about a conversation just about hair in general. I guess that was his approach. He was like, you don't think that, there's particular connotations and all these different things about, this particular style of hair and all this and that. That's just want to know, is it a spiritual thing for you or whatever it is? Da, da, da. And I came back and said, I was like, I can Google serial killers right now and probably find one with your exact hairstyle.
Yeah.
But I don't believe you're a serial killer. But maybe it's a spiritual thing for you too. and just walked out. Like, let's make this make sense. You're gonna put me in the same box as somebody who has what you believe to be the same hairstyle and say there must be some type of connection. That's real interesting. If I am a gang member, I highly doubt that I want to work at this company. For what? Like, for what?
Right.
Make that make sense. If I'm a rapper, if I am a person who only is what you would call a degenerate who only smokes and does drugs all day, why am I trying to be employed? Like, none of that makes sense. None of it made sense. So it's like, why would I be here? I'm like, just really, yes, money and all these other things I need, but 9 times out of 10, if I am any of those other things and I just happen to be a black man with locks, highly doubt I would want to waste my time at this job. Like, you gotta, see my humanity in this situation. I'm here trying to get a job because I wouldn't mind or want this to see if this is a good fit for me.
And you feel you qualify.
And I feel like I qualify for what it is that I'm about to do. And I want to know what it is I'm about to do, and that was a hell of a time. Like, I learned so much about have you guys heard of like ghost kitchens?
No.
And I can imagine it probably being a thing in LA right now for sure, because it's definitely becoming a growing thing. But more about that later. What I discovered was there are like these kind of like ghost marketing companies that do these ads and put out these job openings and present themselves to be this like really nice marketing firm where you get to, like a startup where you get to meet, be in the office with the CEO. And I went on so many interviews to companies like this that had a very ambiguous theme on their websites, would have usually a really nice centrally located office. And I would get in there and I'd be like, okay, cool. I don't know what it is. It's like marketing associate manager, account manager, whatever position. And I would meet with someone and they would show, and it was like the same exact script. And I did this with multiple different companies. And they would already be like, we really already love your resume. We don't know how much time you had today, but we would really love to, have you shadow such and such and this, that, and the third. And you're like, okay, cool. And then they would literally take me on site to wherever they are going or whatever it is, or tell me about whatever it is. And I would learn, oh, y'all like some telemarketers. Oh, y'all some like, y'all are like literally going door to door trying to see people's bill to try to like push for them to go green. And it's like, y'all have like presented this idea that y'all doing some high level marketing, cool, projects in this area, when y'all really just salespeople, just regular salespeople trying to get people on cable and all these other things, but y'all dressing it up as this thing. And I hated that. Like, it made my job search even worse, because I'm just like, damn, I can't even believe what I'm reading. Can't believe what I'm applying for, if this is a real thing or not,
Yeah. I think she experienced that too in her field. They call them mock interviews.
Yeah, somebody told me that they do that out here. I guess they have mock interviews. I don't know if it's for research purposes. You're trying to see how much people are charging, or
But
I'm not sure, because I keep going into these interviews doing great and seems fine, and I don't get the call. Or and then sometimes they'll say, we just want to test your skills. So I'm a web developer, so they'll be like, can we give you a little thing to build, just to show us, it's a small thing. And one time, I swear, I built, basically, it's a one page site, and they basically had me do the whole thing and then, turn it in, and they never called me back. They didn't even call me to say, hey,
No.
are you we didn't, we found somebody else or anything like that, but you took my work and used it. And now when people ask me for, anything like that, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that until, because some of them now, more recently, asked ask for that before the interview. Like, no, I'm not giving you free work before I even vet you. Like,
and
it's
that
a vetting
position,
process on both sides.
Yeah.
that position would still be there later
For
on.
years. So I couldn't make sense of it. And someone actually on the first season of podcast was like, he's lived here a lot longer, and he was like, they do mock interviews. I'm like, for what? Why are they wasting my time? But it's just very
And but we
confusing.
see it as a screening process as well, to a
Yeah.
certain degree. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's I don't know why people play like this, but I do believe that so much of kind of just like particular corporate cultures is breaking down. Like it's crazy the lessons and the secrets or the reveals that occurred during the pandemic, in 2020 especially, for me, the biggest things to realize is that there's a button that the government has to send everybody checks. That was one thing that really blew my mind, because I'm like, we live in one of the most bureaucratic countries in the world, and people didn't have to like go stand in line and fill out a bunch of stuff to get this money. It just came.
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all could have been doing this.
Yeah.
Was my thought. And then secondly, it was just all the companies, including the one that I used to work for, stating how working remote is way too technical and it would take too many resources and do too much and for that to be something viable for this company. We would hemorrhage money if we were to be away from the office and so on and so forth. But literally had to do that for practically a year.
Yeah.
And yet we were still very functioning, probably getting more work done. And I believe studies did say that. And I think that's why so many companies are pretty much becoming solely remote now, because you're probably saving more money. Why do we need a building? Yeah. We can do this from home.
You remember how long you had to like ask for, like how much you have to prove to get like remote work back in the day? It's like you can prove, you can have a whole presentation on why it's a good idea for you to be remote, and there was no way you're getting that. And now it's like
a lot of places treat it as a reward. Like you basically had to be like this tenured employee.
Yeah.
And basically have maybe the quantity of the responsibilities that you have are low, but the importance is high. So it's like, yeah, that's cool. You can come in every now and again. You can just work from wherever. And it's like, but this person is like the VP of sales or the whatever's. And it's like, they literally only making high level decisions. They have so much free time because they literally have so many people under them. So they could take long lunches and take meetings with people and just really just snooze all day, because that's the role that they play. While this entry level person has to literally grind it out. And it shouldn't have, and they should be able to do that in the most comfortable position, to me, because in my mind, it's like, it's kind of hard to being able to be in your, in your joggers at work, at your desk, and just feel comfortable. You can go and run a load of clothes, wash some dishes in between emails, live you, like really be you, instead of you going into an office and handling all those things and putting on this charade for 8 hours that you care about this company, that you care about all these different things. that when asked like, what is your future? What did you see your future here? And you got to muster up whatever answer.
5-year goal, 10-year goal.
Which to me, I feel like companies need to like, I get why they do it to, really establish, who's committed and who's not. But at the same time, it's like, at the end of the day, if I choose to stay or leave, whatever it is, you should still support it, because it's like, you don't own me. Like, I'm not, this isn't a team to be loyal to. I'm going to, every single person in this company from the CEO down is going to choose is going to go towards better opportunities if it presented to them. So let's not act like, people aren't leveraging their experience in one place to gain more in another, Why not? Like, okay, I put in 2 years in this industry now. I can literally apply for this position somewhere else and make so much more just because I done had a few more years in this experience in this particular industry. And I love that for people, but I love that people are standing their grounds and saying like, yes, we need either hybrid or remote. You're not about to have me up in this office every day. Because for what?
Yeah.
Like truly for what at this point? And I love it. And I hope that it's everybody just gets to that point to where we're doing that, because at this point we can really work from anywhere in the world and be very productive and just get it done. Hope next is like naps, like adult napping. Hope that becomes like the next trend, because I feel like we need that more than anybody. Like, I don't know why they don't have like nap rooms in places like the airport. I get people to fall asleep and stuff like that and miss flights a lot more. But at the same time, like, we kind of need that though.
A lot of some people's jobs don't even have 8 hours of work in it, so you're there in a building and you're not even working the whole time. Which when you're working remote, and I've seen it, work 2 jobs.
Exactly. I've seen it too. And I believe I forgot what company it was, but I just seen something about there's a company that's testing out the 4-day work week.
Yeah.
And I've always been for less work. I'm literally currently reading Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
And amazing. It's amazing already. I mean, I'm just at the beginning, but it's like, this is the type of mindset changing that people need to get into, because it's like, are you really optimizing your time? And also, you haven't been able to do the thing that you really want to do because you've been doing the thing that you don't want to do for so long. And that was kind of a place I got to. And it's a place that I've had to consistently, reclaim with myself and remember, like, you sleep better. Remember that. Remember you have time to wake up and go through your full morning routine and meditate and really know what you're feeling, really assess your body, all those different things. And I feel like when you're on the hustle and bustle and having to like wake up at the crack of dawn and take care of yourself, and then also make sure you're on time for someone else, it then drives you to really move on somebody else's time instead of your own natural time. And it can stress you out. It can stress out your body physically and mentally and emotionally. Because it's like, I'm literally making myself get up, making myself get in my car at a particular time, drive with millions of people on the road who are trying to get to a similar destination, and then get in there and act cordial with a bunch of people I really can't even stand. And it's like, you convince yourself, and I would have to I learned after a while that I'm really willing myself into doing this on a daily basis. And the only thing that made me stay, I think, as long as I did, is because the job was so easy to me. I remember like truly being like, and the job was in logistics. And I remember truly just being able to like recall loads and recall different scenarios and things that I've asked assistance on, and nobody's helping me. And they'd be like, damn, you really know? I was like, yes, this is pretty easy. Like, it's a whole lot of click, 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 organization, call to check on this, fulfill this. Yeah, like, the system is pretty efficient if you ask me. But I do believe that there were so many gaps and things we needed to do. Like if we weren't just had to be locked into our seats like this, we could probably get so much more done, and live more comfortable lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we close it out,
Yeah.
you had anything else?
I was going to say, tell the listeners a little bit about Life is King and what you do with your company.
Yeah, I would love to. So Life is King is my production company. I guess my pen name for years has been King, which I love, and it's really just kind of just giving opportunity and space to be honestly a resource to content creators, to small businesses, to and just entrepreneurs as a whole. Types of services that I provide are, basically a full digital marketing suite of services. From if you need, logo design, a website design, if you need to optimize your SEO and claim your Google profiles, or just create some type of structure to, for your own overall marketing plan, including with social media, to contact me. But also, in addition to those creatives, assisting you with creative production, if it's audio visuals or just editing, motion graphics, any of those types of things, I got you. The real popular thing that I've been providing in right now as a service is social media. A lot of social media things. So content creation. People need somebody to continuously just do the thinking for them. And like, what is your goals? What are your objectives for this, week or this month? Okay, cool. We can take these pictures, do these videos, send them to me, and I'll break this down into maybe 2 to 3 to 4 different things. It's kind of the synopsis of what I do. So you can reach me at www.lifeisking.com, or you can just shoot me an email at create@lifeisking.com to get the conversation going. But all of my services are on my site, and our podcast as well is easily can be found online as well at Simply King Podcast. And I love the way that you said it too. My tagline. I rarely hear anyone else say it. Like, I'm always the one saying it, so I'm like, wow, that sounds real good. That sounds real good. But I mean, yes, but yeah. If you can find me everywhere, at Life is King, and then find the business everywhere at Life is King. You can find my personal page at Kings_memoirs on Instagram and all the other pages as well.
Okay. We always invite, our guests to, if you're ever in LA, definitely let us know and come in for an in studio, interview.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. I got a really good friend who's from LA, who's from South Central, who he was a great host when I came to LA too.
Okay.
It was
we'll try to be
pre-pandemic.
As well.
Yeah, you say what?
I said we can try to be as well.
Oh no, I bet y'all are. Especially, LA is a good time. So I get it. I get how people, settle down and get roots, and make it make sense when you find what makes sense for you in a place like that. For sure, I get it.
Are you a swimmer?
I can swim. Am I a swimmer? That feels like asking me if I'm like an Olympian or something. Well, I can swim. I can swim to save my life for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
You're just doing a random survey.
But more, But no, I definitely keep that in mind, and I would love to connect in person too.
Definitely, man. We've definitely enjoyed the conversation. Yeah. I feel like it was a lot of stuff we probably were supposed to ask that we didn't get around to, but we just kind of flowed with it pretty good.
That's all good. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. And for the podcast, you can find us at AmericanGypC.com. And we have merch at luamlee.com.
And for those who like a little vibe, you can check out some music at under Classic Carpenter, artist name, on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, and other, YouTube, other platforms as well. And the spelling on that is KLACCIK. Carpenter, CARPENTA, and we'll also have links to everything in the description below.
Yep.
Thank you again, Rodney, for your time and consideration. And
I appreciate you.
We definitely, send positive energy to Chicago with your business and everything. And, we'll be in touch as well.
For sure.
Thank you to everyone listening. Thank you. Thank you for supporting and consistent self-improvement to everyone. And we'll see you again.
Peace.
Or next time. Peace.